This video is going to be a film study look at what I think are the three most critical plays made by the Ravens defense late in the fourth quarter of their 41-38 win over the Bengals. The Bengals still had, obviously, a chance to win the game in overtime after a weird fumble, bad snap situation between Lamar and Tyler Linderbaum. This is going to focus on Marlon Humphrey, Nnamdi Madubuike, and Nate Wiggins and how they really turned the tide against a Bengals offense that was absolutely rolling in the second half. We'll get the film started here, unfortunately, with the empty touchdown to Ja'Marr Chase. And I will briefly talk about us being outflanked. And when you get the end zone angle, you'll see what I'm talking about. Of course, it's a poor job by Malik Harrison up there forcing the ball inside. The ball has to be forced inside to our help, which in this case is Roquan Smith. Additional to that, the other inside linebacker, Trenton Simpson, is all the way over here because I believe we're calling coverages in the huddle by Zach Orr, and then we're not changing them on the field enough. Basically, I don't think a system has been set up in place to let players adjust the coverage based on what the offense lines up in, so we can get manipulated. And what I mean by that is T. Higgins, Ja'Marr Chase are next to each other on the left-hand side of the offense, right-hand side of our screen. Chase motions across, no corresponding match by our safeties, linebackers, whatever. Why? Because not only are we bringing Tavius Robinson, we're also trying to blitz Trenton Simpson against the guy who gets rid of the ball incredibly quick because he knows the blitz is coming. And I will pause it here at a key moment so you can see what I mean when I say we're outflanked. You can see Ja'Marr Chase's hand, left-hand side of the screen, is catching the football. Roquan Smith is way in here. Now, Roquan also is glancing at the quarterback a couple of times. It's empty. We would tell our kids, read number 3 like he's the back. So what I mean by that is once Chase motions across, now you're going to lose him here in a moment, so I got to pause it here. We're going to pretend for a second that Roquan's got his feet set and Ja'Marr Chase does as well. We would tell our guys, just eye the back. So if he runs an out, go with the out. Roquan does not do that. Roquan sees that it's pass. He glanced. Let me rewind it a little bit. Sorry. Sees that it's pass. He does look at the quarterback for a moment. His face mask was and kind of still is looking here. Looks at Chase. Looks back to the quarterback a second time to make sure the ball is thrown. We're not defending routes at all at times. And I think part of that is what we're being taught. So for us to do the things that we did here at the end of the fourth quarter, Humphrey, Madubuike, Wiggins, and even to a lesser extent, something slight that Eddie Jackson does, I think it was a little surprising. It's less fun to watch now than the offensive film in the film study video that I did earlier. The offense was ridiculous for us. Lamar was insane, playing with an incredible amount of force and execution. We're able to get within 38-35. The Bengals have the ball with a little over 5 minutes left, and it looks like they're just going to keep on rolling. This is a cover 3 that we play. Burrow gets out of here a little bit. Simpson is put in conflict by the potential scramble of Burrow. Chase brings his route back towards the sideline. We don't get it covered up. We're staring at the quarterback again with Roquan Smith, and it ends up being a 19-yard gain on a completion to Ja'Marr Chase. A check X stop. They put Chase into the slot, and they throw backside to Higgins against Brandon Stevens. Quick throw. He's getting the ball out fast pretty much all day. And so at this point, I don't know about you, we're about 4 minutes left in the game. Actually, I think it's a 3:25, something like that, and the clock is running. It's a 2nd and 15, and I'm thinking, I just hope we hold them to a field goal. I wasn't expecting what occurred here. I do think that Burrow has perhaps an opportunity to get the ball to the out. We're basically playing man-free. I'm not sure how much man-free we can play this week against Washington because of how great a scrambler Jaden Daniels is. But the route concept up here to the top side is pretty generic. You get a little in cut by Chase, an out by number 2. They force the nickel defender to go over the top. Joe Burrow starts to pull the pin on the grenade and throw the ball over here. I think that he's unsure at this moment what's going to happen on this. I think it's Io Civis. So he doesn't want to throw that out there into the flats in case Marlon Humphrey is switching it, which is one of the reasons why it's important to impede receivers, because you make the read more gray or more muddy for the quarterback. and also it impeded or prevented Chase from getting to inside leverage. It's an amazing play by Marlon Humphrey against a guy, Jamar Chase, and his partner, Joe Burrow, that were just rolling yesterday. Burrow was 30 of 39 passing, really sharp, diagnosed our coverage as well. We have to get a little bit more physical at times. Marlon Humphrey has been the guy that's been doing that most of the year. He's been the guy who's in the better position of all of our DBs. I'm absolving Kyle Hamilton of this evaluation because he spends so much time as a nickel defender or a dime linebacker like he is on this particular play, in fact. Because we're in dime and Hamilton is basically at inside linebacker, Eddie Jackson's matched up on the tight end. I'm not sure how I feel about that matchup. We didn't see a whole bunch of iterations of it. As it stands, the tight end releases to the inside. Roquan has the back. Hamilton, this is not a bracket. Hamilton is the low hole dropper, basically on an inside release by the tight end. Eddie Jackson had help. Brilliant football play by Marlon Humphrey. I think he's playing at a really high level so far in 2024. Nonetheless, this one was shocking. I didn't expect us to get a turnover. I would have been content with a field goal. I think you would have too. And as it stands, we got an interception, a game-changing play. Look at it. It might even be a season-changing play. Falling to 2-3 with a home game against Washington, who is absolutely on fire coming up, I think would not bode well. This is the 56-yard field goal by Tucker. I thought this looked like a stinger in golf, and I don't necessarily know how to do all those things in golf. I'm not a good golfer. I have a couple of friends who are really good, and they can hit all draw, stinger, low fade. I'm not exactly sure how to do it, but nonetheless, this thing did take off to the left initially and then veer back. You don't really get an angle of it from the all-22 or the end zone. You can see that the ball track was outside of the pylon. The left hash will use that as a landmark here. And even though in the NFL, it's a little, the outside of the hash is a little bit outside of the pylon. You're talking about just slightly outside. He started outside the pylon, or the left upright, and then brought it back on a 56-yarder. I don't know about you, but when from the end zone angle we got on television, when the ball first left his foot, I was like, oh no, another one to the left, and then it kind of knuckled back in. And I think it was pretty clear how far in it was. It's not like it was close. And then here we go, two critical plays. In my opinion, this is a great call by Zach Orr and the defensive staff. Yannick Ngakoue is on the field here on this play, by the way. We're talking about 1:30 or 1:40 left in the fourth quarter. We've inverted Ojabo and Madubuike. I think this is what Madubuike does. I don't know if I want to say best, but when he's downhill attacking, his core strength and his lower center of gravity allows him to not be pushed off his tracks too much. He's able to grab Burrow. I was scared for a moment that this might have been a face mask. I'm sure if it was, they would have called it in this day and age. It's a great call by Zach Orr and the guys to isolate these two because we had a nose tackle. So what I mean by that is we have the back on our right-hand side, the nose stepping to this side. All this is to occupy the center. It's one of the reasons why pass rush win rates, I think, is a ridiculous stat to rely on and talk about defensive linemen, because our Broderick Washington, is not trying to win there. He's just trying to occupy the center and clear up or open up that A-gap for Madubuike to get through. And he does, running a twist stunt on the other side, kind of in the opposite direction. End zone angle, same play, all 22 angles, same play. And I want to focus on what happens up here. Also, I want to talk about numbers. Remember the empty play? I'm calling it a 3-on-2 when Jamar Chase catches the ball. But if you want to call it a 3-on-3 if you want to call it a 3-on-3, fine. With Roquan being the third vendor, that's cool. Look at what we have now. We got two receivers, and we've got three to triangulate. Two receivers, and we've got three to triangulate. We're playing 3/2 to both sides, standard. We didn't do that on the empty. We're misaligned once again against empty, which has been a problem dating back to 2022 and even before that. So this is a nice adjustment by Eddie Jackson and Nate Wiggins related to the sack. Joe Burrow, where is he going to throw the ball? Well, he's certainly looking to the right-hand side of the offense, the top side of the screen. The tight end is occupying Hamilton, and then Higgins is bringing his route in. Look at Eddie Jackson jump this. And then Wiggins on the in cut is to get some depth. He's looking in the backfield, he being Wiggins. Jackson is jumping the route. So an instance of us, I think, being more efficient with the blitz and coverage at the same time. How often do we do these? Not enough. We're playing a different version of that down here, basically our funnel coverage, but you're also getting different releases. If Eddie Jackson isn't jumping that, then it's also possible that Joe Burrow tries to get that ball out, even though Matabike is on top of him at the moment that I had that play paused. Creates a 2nd and 17 after a loss of 7, and this is critical. T. Higgins, who gave us issues, 9 catches against Nate Wiggins up top. A minute left in the game, and I think we've allocated both safeties to help out deep against Chase and Higgins. So other players are essentially straight man with no help. But I'm talking about there and there. And then as also Roquan on the running back. The close down speed here, there's pressure applied, so Burrow has to kind of step up a little bit here. And then the close down of Wiggins on Higgins, sounds weird to say those two names consecutively, is what I think is important. And you get a better idea of it from the end zone angle. Basically, Wiggins leaves his feet and closes ground on Higgins. Perhaps the throw could have been a little bit more out in front. Not sure. Matabike is getting upfield, pressing the pulling lineman inside, so Burrow's got to step up a little bit. Tries to navigate the pocket, sliding to his right. I think that's important. And throwing to his left. I think he's got a little bit less on this ball. And so when Wiggins leaves his feet, he's able to get his hands in there at the perfect moment. That is a clutch defensive play. Fantastic stuff from Marlon Humphrey, Matabike, and Nate Wiggins. Set the stage, really, for us to be able to win this football game. The heroics by Lamar and then Derrick Henry in overtime are obvious to talk about, and I did in an earlier film study video. Those 3 guys, a little underrated move by Eddie Jackson as well. David Ojabo running the stunt correctly to kind of clear that space for Nnamdi Matabike. We were much sharper in the fourth quarter. Overtime, it looked like the Bengals were just happy to settle for a long field goal attempt. It didn't work out in their favor. They're kicking the football to win the game, and he obviously missed it, which was shocking to me in and of itself. We certainly could be sitting here at 2-3, but we wouldn't have even had a chance to be 3-2 if it wasn't for Marlon Humphrey's interception, Matabike's sack, Nate Wiggins' coverage snap against Higgins, which I think just tells you about the potential we've got in him. He's been playing really well the last 2 weeks, in my opinion, even though he gave up a long catch to Io Civis down the right side on a lofted kind of floating ball from Joe Burrow. Let me know what your thoughts are on this defense. I'm still angry and pissed off at some of the things I saw, some of the things I didn't see, basically alignment, awareness. Our insistence on focusing on the quarterback so much at the second level is making us play slow. Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton. Darius Washington seems to be a guy who is less attracted to staring at the quarterback. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure why that is. What drills Roquan and Kyle Hamilton and in some cases Trenton Simpson are doing compared to what Darius Washington is doing that isn't promoting as much locked-in focus on the quarterback on a pass play. I feel like it's making us play slow. I still think we're misaligned on an empty formation, but the way we close the game, the way we finish the game defensively is encouraging, that we can have the resilience to get a stop, 2 stops, in fact, after we've been shredded. If you don't know, the Bengals scored 4 consecutive touchdowns, that is, starting late in the second quarter to eventually take that 38-28 lead. Thereafter, we're able to get the interception, the stop late in the fourth quarter to prevent them from getting into field goal range, and then, of course, they missed the field goal. We go down and get Henry's big play. I did a film study video on Lamar's heroics and Derrick Henry's run. The resilience our guys showed is what I'm going to try to focus on. Unfortunately, I will put out a defensive video Tuesday morning that focuses on many problems that I think we have from a systemic standpoint. And yes, I do blame Zach Orr for those things. He's the guy in charge. He's the person who's responsible for coordinating it all. And at this point, I'm not sure that throughout a 60-minute football game, against the best quarterbacks in the league, that we will be lined up in a consistent manner and in sound positioning all the time. It took a Herculean effort by Lamar and a really timely defensive plays by Humphrey, Matabike, Wiggins to get us out of there with a win and push the Ravens to 3-2. It's fun to be 3-2 at this point. It was not fun at all to watch us play defense for most of yesterday's game, from the second quarter to the fourth. I appreciate you guys' time, man. Let me know what you think of the video in the comment section. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this film study look at how the Ravens were able to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.